girl Wakeji Kamore, and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. Yay. If you're here for the very first time and you're wondering what part of the internet did you find yourself in, this is Reflections by Wakeji Kamore, and here we've been going through the Bible chapter by chapter, book by book, and we have finally finished the book of Ruth. That means we have done 8 books in total, and a total of 36 chapters. Last time I said 37. That was a lie. When we finished the book of Judges, we've done 232. So plus 4 chapters of the book of Ruth, we have done 236 chapters so far. So please, if you would like to, if this is content that you actually would want to be part of, please remember to subscribe, to like, to comment, to hit the notification bell so that you never miss any of the videos that we put up. So here's my friend Nduku, who has been taking you guys through the book of Ruth.
Yeah.
How have you been?
I've been good.
How has the 4 days of fame been? Has the screen been kind to you?
Well, I hope so. I don't know. We'll know in the comments. Yeah.
How has the experience been for you?
It's been amazing. I'd read through the book before we started the sessions, but going through it again, I feel like it's overwhelmed me.
Yeah.
The 4 days have really overwhelmed me in a good way. Yeah.
Just getting new insight, new. You're like, oh my goodness, this is new. Like getting new experiences in the book. Yeah. So I've actually been following through, and it's been great. We went to Niva Machozi because I could see there are some places you like the text was emotional.
Yeah.
Too. But anyway, thank you so much for taking us through the book of Ruth. Just to finalize and to just wrap it up, we usually do like an overview of the book, and this is what this video is about.
Yeah.
So to just find out, what's your main takeout of the book? From the book?
Yeah, I think it's still redemption, but it's built out to hope and being seen.
Yeah.
I think I was seeing the story of the redemption from the lens of Naomi, where she came from bitterness, and at the end, she has a grandson that she can hold. And the happiness from the community just about how she's been redeemed, how their land has been redeemed.
Yeah.
And for me, that gave me hope. The thing that I saw that I hadn't seen is Ruth was seen by Boaz, and Boaz was seen by Ruth. Yeah, so that really struck me, that Boaz was actually extra energetic to try and find how he could marry this woman because she had seen him in his old age. Yeah. And Ruth kept wondering, why are you giving me so much favor? Because he had seen her. And for me, it just brought me to, how does God see me? And because he does, and that's the thing we know, he sees us. And what's that feeling of being seen? It's overwhelming. That's the overwhelming part of this study. Yeah.
Wow, being seen. Wow, that's interesting. For me, I think the main takeout, I have many, but let me just share like maybe 2. One is that this book is not necessarily about marriage, as it has been positioned before. Really, it has been sold out to be like a book about marriage, about relationship, how to find a spouse. I was like, really? Yes, it does have some good lessons about that, but it is not even mainly about that. Yeah. Number 2 is how I remember when you were talking about, her name is Oprah, and how she chose to go back to her people and to her God. I don't know in my whether it's how I've had it before. I've always thought she made the wrong choice. Okay, maybe it was the wrong choice, but she sounded bad for having left. Yeah. But she just made a different choice. And people make different choices. Even people choose God at different times of their lives. It doesn't make you a bad person because you chose God at a later time of your life, or we didn't see her choosing God at the end, but it doesn't mean that she's a bad person. It doesn't mean that she didn't like Naomi. Yeah. She really just wanted to go back to her people, which doesn't make her a bad person. The other takeout is gosh, I have so many. Is that
Keep going.
is that the women who saw Naomi coming back to Bethlehem were like, I mean, they saw the pain, and then at the end they're seeing her being blessed. My prayer is that people who have seen me copper, people who have seen me in my struggles, people who have seen me, in my hard times, will also get to experience that God exists and that God blesses and that God actually redeems. That they don't die before they see it. And then they're just like, but she suffered and she knew God. Yeah. So it's good to have people see the end and see that actually God blesses. So those are my takeouts.
Oh wow! I mean,
I've been watching. I've been watching. I've been watching my own channel. So yes. But even just before we move on to the next book, how does this book point us to Christ?
So how I see Christ is very obviously about the lineage. I mean, Ruth and Boaz were the great grandparents of David, and David is the great a few times of Jesus. And so that was something that was big to connect us to Christ. Imagine if they hadn't met in that way, then they wouldn't have connected, like we wouldn't have connected to Christ. I also feel that even moving upwards, that Boaz was actually, I find maybe he was more gracious, because he also came from a line where his great someone mother, Tamar, was also quote unquote shunned for what she had done. I mean, she slept with her father-in-law. Which is a scandal in itself. But maybe that gave him grace for this Moabite woman. And that's a story of grace, and a grace that is like Christ, because he didn't look at her as this person from this community, because he also knows that people can make mistakes. We've seen it in his lineage. And I think that's a reflection of Christ. And the third one is the redemption story, how Boaz not only sees her, but he provides for her, he makes for Ruth, he makes her feel safe. Like, he does all these things that remind me of the character of Christ. And while it's the character of God, it's also from his lineage, something that he learned. So for me, I feel those are the ways that it connects us. How about you?
I think for me, first, I mean, it's great that Boaz ends up being the great grandfather of Jesus. Like, great, many times great. And even just the fact that Jesus comes from that lineage of, I mean, Boaz having come from a lineage where there was also shame and a scandal. And then also here is, I mean, the Moabites already have like, you would expect Jesus to have come from, like, straight line from Abraham, like this, like without any other nations coming in between, like just Israelites all the way. So that's great. And I think that also just makes sense as to why also Christ has so much grace. Like, it's not about us, like, he forgives everyone. Like, if you come today and you killed someone yesterday, and you come and you give your life to Christ, that he will just give you salvation. I mean, that is grace beyond. Sometimes even as I'm a Christian, I'm just like, wait, that's too much. He has sinned too much. Don't forgive him, But Christ is so gracious. But the other thing that I learned, or how I feel like this points us to Christ or even to salvation, is that how Ruth was willing to become vulnerable. And even just go and lie at the feet of Boaz. And that is how she became redeemed at the end of the day. That's how she was restored at the end of the day. But how it points me to salvation is that if I'm not willing to accept that I'm a sinner, then how can I be saved? If I don't say I'm a sinner and I need salvation, then come on, I'm just here carrying myself head high, like, me, I'm not a sinner, I don't need this Jesus. Then you can't be saved. You can only be saved if you allow yourself to be vulnerable, if you allow yourself to actually admit that you have sinned and you need a savior. So that's for me has been that was like, I actually picked that from the last chapter, which is chapter 4. That's not chapter 3. Chapter 3. Yes, that she was willing to be vulnerable, and that's the same way that you get saved, by being vulnerable and accepting that you're a sinner and you really need redemption.
And even that, I think another highlight for me was that she could see God even through pain. Like, she could see God even through her pain and Naomi's pain. And I feel that that's who Christ is. He never leaves. He doesn't leave when it's painful. He's there. with you.
Wow, that's true.
And he carries you even through that. He suffered as well, and he knew God. He went to God in pain. I mean, at Gethsemane, saying, "Take this cup from me if you could. Like, if this is difficult, why are you giving this to me?" But he still went through that, and he still believed God was there. So for me, that God never leaves.
God never leaves.
Yeah.
And I like there's something that you mentioned in the first chapter about how that even if Naomi felt like God had taken her through this rough, rough period of her life where she had lost her husband, her children, there's still someone who's willing to follow her and her God. I'm like, me, I'd be like, that your God is tough. Let me go back to my gods. Because man, if I wonder whether it has something to do with Naomi. Look, sometimes in suffering, we make our God look so bad. But there's a way you can be in suffering and you're enduring it, but you're still praising God, or you're still acknowledging the fact that God is God in your life, that God is still on the throne, that it is attractive to other people who are watching, even you in suffering, as opposed to suffering and now you're there cursing God, and now you're making everybody not want to be associated with it.
Yeah, and then after that, you're like, Nimeenda kesha. I can't connect
these two. Yeah, like this God of hers and how she talks about him, and then now she's suffering, now she's going to Kesha, like it's just too murky. So I actually do think it had a lot to do with Naomi and the fact that she recognizes God even in that suffering. Anyway, so thank you very much for taking us through the book of Ruth.
Thank you for having me.
I will soon call you for another book. Revelations.
Okay, that should be interesting actually.
That would be interesting.
But that's like what? How many years?
That's oh my goodness. Don't discourage me. Like I'm so far off to get into Revelation. I think that's what gives me peace. Sometimes I'm like, you know what, Jesus might just come before I get to Revelation, which would be great.
No. It's interesting because I do want to study the book of Revelation, so we can have that discussion.
We can have that discussion. Wow. You guys, you have it on camera. She said she's going to do the book of Revelation. So anyway, thank you so much for being part of this. Thank you so much, guys, for following through the book of Ruth. We are going to immediately go into the book of 1 Samuel. We're not taking a break as usual because, I mean, it's only been 4 days. Really, there's no need for a big break. So we're going to go straight to the book of 1 Samuel, which I'll be doing the introduction tomorrow. So please keep locked. Keep tuned, like do not move. Do not think that we are taking a break. We are not. Anyway, thank you so much for following. Thank you for subscribing, for liking, for hitting the notification bell. And thank you so much for being part of this. This is your girl, Wakeji Kamore and Nduku. And this has been Reflections by Wakeji Kamore.